were like across the table holding hands, and we were both like having the same vision and didn't even know it until we spoke later. But from my point of view, I was seeing myself surrounded by all of these dark spirits, and I just felt like this light orb. I think we like saw it in a little slightly different ways, but I saw this white orb around me, and being able to see all of these beings that were, you could say, evil or negative in some way. And I just felt such like power and peace of being like, you can't touch me. Like, you can't fucking touch me. Welcome to another episode of Shattering Reality. I am your host, Sabrina Weibel, and on this podcast, we break through the common limitations of modern reality and expand your thinking as we delve into topics of quantum physics, spirituality, channeling, and much more. Nothing is off the table here as we work to uncover human behavior and the secret powers of the mind and universe through discussing esoteric and sometimes controversial topics. Now, I recorded part one of this topic of getting over the fear of dark spirits and healing paranormal fear, especially for those who want to open up more psychically but are afraid of having those negative experiences. And today I brought a special guest, Nadiya, onto the show to record a part two on this topic. In today's episode, we got into crazy stories of negative spirits trying to take her away in her sleep, how to spiritually protect yourself and feel strong in the face of dark spirits, how to make sure that your channel is clear to connect with positive beings when you do open yourself up to your psychic gifts, and more. It's honestly such an intriguing conversation, so listen in on the full thing. If you're loving this podcast, the best way to show your love is to leave a 5-star review and share it with a friend so that more people can hear these topics. And with that being said, let's get into it. Well, welcome onto the show, Nadiya.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
So, Nadia and I met in Bali through a mutual friend, and we immediately connected. We spent hours just getting so deep into the flow, into conversation at the Clear Cafe in Ubud, I distinctly remember. And I felt like we were all just straight up in the vortex. Like, I don't know about you, but I lost all sense of time when we were talking, and I was so lit up. And you had just got out of your silent meditation retreat, right?
Yeah, it was silent retreat for 6 days. I was absolutely silent, gathering all my thoughts and feelings and looking into myself. And then I got out and I met you, and it was so great to actually talk to someone and share my experiences. Especially, I felt so connected to you as well. It was amazing.
Oh, and how long were you out of the retreat before we met?
Probably a day or two, like really, really recent.
Wow. Okay, yeah. And we were in our conversations, we were getting into like psychic abilities, like right off the bat. We were just like deep into conversations, talking about like how powerful it is to step into them, how it can help so many people when you do step into them. We talked about facing dark spirits and facing them with a strong sense of trust and power and light in who you are. And we also talked about how your late grandmother has played a role in that for you. And I wanted to bring this conversation and expand it, bring it onto the podcast so others can listen in on it because it was so juicy, it was so good. So, first things first, why don't you tell the listeners what exactly it is that you do, where you're from, how you got involved in these kinds of things to begin with, so people can get a feel for who you are?
Sure. Originally, I'm from Ukraine. I've been living in the UK for over 16 years, and really recently I moved to Bali. Yeah, and I'm absolutely enjoying it, this change in my life. I think when you're in all the spirituality and finding out who you are, that's the place to be. Vibrations here are amazing. And so I have qualifications in different fields, which I use to help people to find their purpose, to fulfill their purpose, see their strong and weak qualities, work on them, and discover their talents and gifts that they've been given. As well, I'm into energy healing. I'm using Reiki, and that's the field I'm just discovering and getting into, and I absolutely love it, especially seeing results, helping someone who is in pain or have high temperature. Just by healing and giving your energy, it helps people. That's the most rewarding thing.
It really is.
Yes, and I think I always been into this because my grandmother was a very special woman to be around. She had the gift of knowing. She just knew everything. She had so many people coming over. Every time she had someone at home. Like every time I come to visit her, she has friends of friends, everyone coming for help, asking her questions, and she would always know exactly what to say. And every time I ask her, like, how do you know? How do you know all these things? And she said, like, I have just words coming into my head and I have to say it. And apart from knowing, she was having like prophecy dreams. So she knew exactly the day when my mom was going to be born, that it's going to be a girl. And at that time, there was no way to see who was going to be boy or girl. And my grandmother was told she was going to have baby in June, but in her dream, she had knowledge, like information coming to her that she will have girl in May and exact day. And my mom was born that day. And I think later on in her life, she started getting dreams with message to help people. So I think one of the most not interesting, but like that I remembered, it was a dream when she got message that she has to contact that particular person in our town, and he was quite well known. He had big business, so she was supposed to approach him and tell him to do certain things, go to church, do this and that, in order to survive, because he was going to die if he wouldn't do all the things she suggested he would do. And she felt really embarrassed, because how do you approach someone you don't really know that much and tell him, oh, you're gonna die if you don't do ABC? But she felt that it was her responsibility to do it. So she approached him, and you know what? He was really responsive, and he did everything she said. So he did everything she said, and few weeks later, he got into a car crash, and it was really bad accident. He was telling, in some point of everything happening, his car just flew in the air and was twisting around, and he broke his spine during all of this. And the pain he had, and being in that moment, he was like, "Oh no!" But Nadia, my grandmother, I'm named after my grandmother as well.
Wow.
So he was like, oh, but Nadia told me that I will survive if I do all of this. So I have to survive. It's what's going on? And then he said he felt like angels just took the car and put it down as soon as he had that thought. So he was taken to the hospital. He had broken spine, but he recovered. He was walking and everything was fine, and he
Wow.
recovered really quickly. Yes, and that was remarkable, because my grandmother had another dream about another person, but it wasn't about life question. It was about his wealth. He would lose everything if he doesn't do certain things. And again, she was really embarrassed to approach him. She approached him through his wife, and then they just laughed and didn't believe in all of this, which was their choice, obviously. She only was a messenger. She had to pass this information. And then that person lost everything. And it's interesting. It's hard to believe things like that happens, but like when you live through them and you see it's happening, you just becoming parts of it, and it becomes norm since your childhood, just to know, you can see, you can predict, you can feel, which probably is new to some people who didn't experience it from childhood.
Yeah, so you were around this really your whole life?
Yeah, yeah, and all
Wow.
the talks and stories from her was amazing. Some of the stories were quite scary, what she experienced, because from what she said, she had both sides coming to her. My grandmother believed in God and she loved God and followed everything. However, she was visited by other side as well, and it seemed like other side tried to get her on their side. And once in her dream, they were trying to like drag her on their side, and she refused to do it. She was praying and saying that staying with God. And when she woke up, she had bruises on her wrists. So I don't know if you believe in it or you don't believe in it. I know what happened to her, and I believe that both sides exist. As we have
Mhm.
light, we have sun, we have moon, everything changes.
Mhm. And it is hard to, when you haven't experienced it firsthand, it's understandable why people would be so skeptical. It's like, well, you haven't seen it, you haven't experienced it, it's not your life. So, like, okay. I feel like for me, for the longest time, I was skeptical of a lot of things, but as I continued to experience deeper and deeper through my spiritual path as I got older, my psychic abilities started to open up more and more. I was like, holy shit, like this is what? Like this is real. This is a thing. How do you feel like your grandmother's experiences and her sharing them with you, how do you feel like that affected you as a kid and growing up?
I think it's just showed me that it's okay. There is another side, and it just gave me that feel of everything is fine. You have to trust yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You can have a gift, and you need to use it and use it. Because my grandmother was this, she was like a sunshine. She
Mhm.
had blonde hair, but she was just the energy of her. She always wanted to help people, and you should have seen her when she goes outside. All the animals come, like cats, dogs, birds, everything. It's like Cinderella in a
Mhm.
way in fairy tales. She walks in the forest, and like all animals following her. So her energy was so pure and clear and beautiful that I always had this feeling like I want to help people and I want to be like my grandmother, because I think it's a real gift. Even when I had like uh, difficult times and I was in tears thinking that the world is ending, I would come to her. We have 5 minutes conversation, we laugh together, and I was just was I crying? Like, what was the problem? And I think that's power of energy healing and just your spirit. And I always felt that that's what people meant to be, like helping each other, supporting each other, and yeah, she told me as well that I'll have her gift, but even stronger in time when I'm a bit older. So I'm yet to discover it. I'm just starting my journey, and I'm looking forward to it. To be honest, at some point of my journey, I was a little bit skeptical if I want to continue because, different things happens to you, different experience that may scare you.
Mhm.
Um, I can share one of my experiences that actually nearly stopped me from being open to energy and paranormal stuff. So I was on Tinder, funny enough, going left and right through pictures, and then I saw this guy. He wasn't my type at all, but there was something mysterious about him, something dark, something dangerous. I felt like he wanted to hurt people, and I just had to find out. My curiosity was like sky high. So I swapped right. We matched. We went on a date. He was a lovely guy, but like he was a lovely guy. He came with flowers. We had few dates. Dates were good. He was nice. But then this feeling inside of me wouldn't leave me. I just felt that something was not right. And one day I decided to approach him and ask him. So we were in the cinema, and I looked at him and I said, "Do you ever feel like hurting people?" What a crazy question to ask someone. He looked at me really surprised and he was like, "No." I was like, "Okay." So after the cinema, we went for a walk in the park. It was 10 p.m., dark. And he decided to ask me why did I decide to approach him and ask if he wants to hurt people. And I said, look, I don't know how to explain, but I just had this feeling since I first saw you that you want to hurt people. And he said, like, well, when I was deciding on my career between career practice or army to go into the army, he said I decided to go and fix people, but if I went to the army probably, you know, I might be in situations when I had to hurt people. So his answer kind of matched my question, but I knew it wasn't the answer I was looking for. So the same evening he brought me home. We were sitting in a car, and I think it was our third day, the day where you kiss. And we started to kiss, and he felt like he was withdrawing, like getting, like staying away, kissing, but staying away from me at the same time. So I thought, oh, good opportunity to teach him how to kiss. So I started explaining about energy, how you give your energy when you kiss and everything. And you know, the more he was getting into it, the scarier it was getting. Because
Mm.
at some point, when he got really into the kiss, exchanging energies, I opened my eyes and I saw outside of the car there's five dark entities just standing there and staring at us.
Mm.
So scared because, well, I knew there was something wrong about him, but I wasn't expecting to see five dark, really heavy things staring at us. So I jumped back. I was terrified. He noticed it. He was like, "Oh, what's going on with you? You're all pale. You're shaking. What's going on?" It took me a couple of minutes to calm down, and then I wasn't sure how to approach him because I didn't want to come across like a crazy person. But then, yeah, I asked him, "Do you ever feel like someone is following you or watching you?" And you should have seen the look on his face. He was like, "What? How do you know?" And he told me that for the last 10, 20 years that he remembers, he feels like those dark clouds. Anyway, he goes, dark clouds following him. And he was so surprised that I asked that question, and he asked me why. And I said, well, I just saw those clouds outside of the car watching us, but those clouds gave me shivers because they didn't feel good. And he was like, yeah, but there is there is more to it. So apart from this entities that following him everywhere, he said that he has this guardian angel, and he wasn't sure if it was dark or light, because he felt so powerful having this angel behind him. So he said this angel stands behind him and covers him with his wings, and he feels absolutely indestructible, like nothing can hurt him or nothing bad can happen to him. And well, you can imagine me sitting there in the car listening to all these stories and being in the middle of it. All I could think about at the time, how do I run home? How do I quickly make that journey without getting in trouble with those entities outside watching me, or this guardian angel he has? So probably after 5, 10 minutes, I left, and then when I came home, he texted me. He texted me saying, "I don't think we should see each other anymore because when I was driving away, I felt that that angel wanted to stay with you. It didn't want to stay
Mhm.
with me. It wanted to shift to you." You can imagine my feelings. I was terrified. So I had to sleep with my light on. And when I finally fall asleep after a couple of hours, I had this dream. And the dream was that that angel, it came to me and it was trying to get inside of me, possess me through my mouth. And I started to pray, and I was praying, and then I felt like my words doesn't come out of my mouth anymore, and it was just getting inside of me. And the you know, the like a waterfall, when water just goes down, that's how I felt. It's got inside of me and it dragged me with it, And I think I experienced and I've seen hell because we went all the way down and there was fire and I could hear and feel pain of burning souls there. And I screamed and I woke up.
Mm.
I was shaking, and of course, I was scared. I didn't know if it was a dream or it was a real thing. And that thing came to me overnight and tried to drag me down. So, but me being me, I just didn't let go. I stayed in touch with this guy, and I really wanted to help him. However, he said that he felt that his connection with that angel became really loose. He didn't feel it anymore as much. So I did worry that it was trying to connect to me. But yeah, so at the time I had this spiritual guide. He was doing runes, yes. So I had spiritual
Mhm.
guide. He was doing runes and guiding me and helping me at the time. I called him straight away, explained what happened, and he said that he can help that the person, my date, and the only problem was they spoke different languages, so he needed me to help with translating questionnaire and. When I was questioning my date about his paranormal experiences in his life, that was very unexpected as well. So, since the childhood, he was experiencing a lot of paranormal things around him. So, in
Mm.
the flat where he lived, he used to see this boy dressed in white asking for food and drink. And at school, there was a older gentleman coming to visit him, and they would sit on a bench and talk for like 15, 20 minutes while he had a break, or after school, he would sit and talk to this gentleman. And then later on, he found pictures in his family album of this man, and it was his granddad. And when he talked to this gentleman at like outside of his school, he said his name is Thomas, and on the picture behind there was names of people on the picture, and there was name Thomas there. So his granddad was coming to him and talking to him and spending time together, but he didn't know at the time. And then he heard some steps in the house. Door handles were moving. His blanket was dragged of him in a hotel room, and just like the whole life he was experiencing all this strange things that most of us never even think about it or just see in horror movies.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so I think he was like this door between two worlds. So he was a vessel that would sense both presences, our world energy, other world energy, and he was just a door, the person who could see, who could let other things through. And if you think about it, nothing ever happened, nothing ever bad happened to him. Like none of the spirits hurt him. If so, he felt indestructible or he felt strong, seeing ghosts or hearing things. Of course, it scared him because it was unexplained, but
Mhm.
it happened. He was fine, he was healthy, he was going to the gym, helping people as well in the way he could help people. So it made me think maybe we just create all these fears in our head. It's just what we put in our head and our energy, how we react to things. And
Mhm.
especially, watching all these horror movies, it gives you a wrong impression of paranormal
Agreed.
activity. You feel scared because that's the only message you ever get across. But sometimes, like in his case, his granddad came to talk to him, which is amazing, isn't it? To have ability to see someone that his dad disappeared during the Second World War, a granddad. So it was great to actually see him because he never seen him even on the picture. And having this ability to connect with spirits and get message across and help others, or just to reconnect, like help people to reconnect with their grandma. I would love someone to help me to reconnect with my grandma and talk to her and hear her voice even through someone else. That would be a great experience. So I think you have to be very open to it and understand that it's not all that scary as everyone's saying. It's a gift. It's a gift you need to embrace and know what to do with it. But as you can imagine, at that time, I was really scared going through all this experience and hearing all these things. So my spiritual guide told me that I have a gift and I have to accept it. But the thing is, once you accept it, you can't really turn back on it and say like, "Oh, I don't want to do it anymore," because
Mhm.
that gift that given to you, not just to have that gift given to you full purpose,
Mhm.
either help people or direct people or do something, use it for, well, in my case, I see it, use it for good only. So if you accept your gift and then you don't do anything with it, I think you will have to pay for it. Not pay for it, but that's your responsibility to
Mhm.
use it for good deed. And if you don't use it for good deed, you're kind of wasting it because someone else could use it and help others. And if you don't, then you have to be responsible for that. So I
Mhm.
think for everyone out there who is experiencing something of having like premonitions or hearing things or seeing things or feel like they have a gift, I think the first thing what you need to understand that's once you accept it, you have to use it. And before you accept it, just decide for yourself if you want to use it or not, because it is a responsibility. It's not just to have. And when you accept it, then you use it. And I think that's another long journey to learn how to use it properly, how to protect yourself as well, not to get yourself into some strange situations. But even if you get yourself in a strange situation, it's your way, it's your journey. That's how you learn. That's all part of the experience. So
And there's so many things that come to my head as we're talking. When you were mentioning the story with the guy and the things that happen with him, it's so interesting that he is like this door. And I feel like some people who are naturally inclined to their sixth sense, without them even trying, because they are attuned to that just in their own way, I feel like they are naturally this door to the other side, you could say. And I remember meeting this couple when I was at the Dr. Joe Dispenza retreat last year in November. And the man in the couple was actually talking to me about how he kept accidentally, he didn't know he was doing this, but he kept accidentally opening up portals in his house and was like letting in all of these spirits. And he didn't even realize he was doing it. And he didn't until he started to see like spirits all around his house. And he was like, what's going on? They'd be like standing by his bed, they'd be like moving things in his room. And it is true. Like it's so, and I mentioned this in the part one of this theme of the podcast, but we, I feel like, have been programmed to view spiritual experiences as negative. I feel like we've been programmed to believe experiences that are beyond like the 3D, what we can like physically touch and see, to all perceive it as something negative, something evil, something bad. When something moves in your room or when you hear something or you see something, we're programmed to perceive it as this like bad thing when really, like you said, it's something that is just kind of neutral. Like those things happen. And it's interesting also that you said that that guy saw a little boy wearing white. I remember when I was growing up, I had a lot of paranormal experiences growing up as well. And funny enough, it was only the women in my family who we're more naturally inclined to see things, to experience things. I'm one of 7 kids, and the boys were very much so not in that realm. I still don't think to this day they're even close to thinking about this kind of stuff, but all the girls were naturally attuned to it. And we all saw the same boy wearing white around our house. And I'm like, is this now I'm thinking like, is this what is this? Who is this? Like, are there just this little boy wearing white like coming to people? But it was so strange because my sisters, I remember we were talking one day, and one of my sisters had mentioned, I don't remember how old I was. I was young, young. One of my sisters had mentioned, I keep seeing this like out of the corner of my eye, this boy who was like wearing white. And my other sister said, I keep seeing the same thing. And we all shared a room. And I was like, I see the same boy. And I was like, what? And we were all like freaking out. And they were like, yeah, like he's always looking at the wall. He's always looking at the ground. And I was like, no, this boy is always looking directly at me. And my sisters were saying, no, he's always looking like somewhere else. And it was just me that the boy was always directly staring at. No matter if I saw him down the stairs staring up at me, if I saw him in my bedroom staring at me, if I saw him down the hallway staring at me, I just thought that was so strange. And so, anyway, getting into this like story of the boy wearing white and how this guy was experiencing the same thing. What do you feel like causes spirits with this guy that you met having the clouds of the spirits behind him and the guardian angel choosing him and then wanting to choose you? What do you think makes these spirits feel drawn to certain people? And why do you think they try to like latch onto or attach to certain people?
Yeah. Um, So I was told by my spiritual guide, he tried to explain what was going on because since that date and that experience, I started experiencing different things. Some people like approaching me in the park and sitting with me and talking about my aura and my energy. And he said that I have a lot of energy, like my aura is really strong and I have like really bright, strong energy that lots of entities would like to feed on. It's like food, and it attracts good and bad, attracts everything. It's like light in the dark attracts all the flies and beautiful butterflies and mosquitoes, and everything comes to light. I was actually, as you were talking, I was thinking and trying to analyze. Yes, he was a door, but why did he attract all the darkness to him? Why only darkness stuck to him? And I think it's all comes within. It's how we feel. It's the vibrations that we give. Like I know his life story. He's from toxic family. He's been through a lot, and I think mentally and in his soul, he had a lot of pain. He had a lot of anger. He was going through all these experiences that he was hurting a lot. And I think when you hurt a lot or you have a lot of anger inside of you, you have different type of a vibration. It's like low vibration that all this negative energy and the lower things feeds on you and they attach to you, and that's their food, because more anger you give, more bad vibrations you give, for them it's great. They feed on it. And I believe that sometimes these entities can even provoke you to feel bad, provoke you to have arguments, provoke you to have like those feelings inside of you, because they need to feed of you. So they need to make sure that you give them enough food. And I came to understanding that if you take care of yourself, if you eat healthy, you treat your body like your temple, you don't drink alcohol, you have good positive thoughts, you like clean inside out, your thoughts are clear and clean, you don't have negative thoughts or thoughts of hurting someone or jealousy and stealing, all these thoughts that can feed negative entities. they're not gonna attach to you. They won't be able to, even if they try to have a bite of you, they won't be able to stick for too long. They have a bite and then they just fall off you. They can't. Um, and when my grandmother passed away, you know, it was difficult times for me, and I was hurting and going through grieving. But the thing that happened to me, I started having visitors at night when I was asleep, from the other side, as we say. And they tried to drag me in there. That I think, first of all, because I had so much sorrow inside of me, and second of all, because my grandmother always was my strongest protection. I felt invincible because I had her. Like going on a plane, she would say, "As long as I'm alive, nothing gonna ever happen to you." So I always felt like nothing gonna happen to you. It's impossible. But then when she's gone, maybe my belief that I'm invincible or I'm protected gone. So I start having visitors in my dreams that were trying to drag me somewhere. I don't know where, but I don't think it was a nice place. And all I could do is just pray. Pray always saving me and gives me a power and feeling of comfort. So I'm praying, and usually I do this. For some reason, I'm holding myself, and sometimes I would wake up and see my bed moved to the side where I was, like in my dream, I was dragged off my bed by legs. And then I would wake up and I see my bed move towards that side. And I was like, oh, was I dreaming or was it true? So those things were coming to me, but they didn't get me. They didn't get me because I didn't allow them. I didn't want to go there. So I believe that we all in control. They, if you're in control to choose your breakfast, right? You wake up and you're like, oh, what am I having today? Pancakes or porridge? So you choose what you want to eat. Nobody's gonna, but unless you're a little baby and you have no choice, but like nobody's gonna tell you what to eat. You choose clothes you're gonna put on. So that's your choice. Same with the sites and with spirits and paranormal activities. That's your choice what side you want to be in. So if you want to be on the darker side, you make your decision and you go there. You want to be on the lighter side, you make your decision and you stay there. So no one can not physically drag you to one side. Of course they can try if they want you, but then you decide. And if you keep your spirit clear and you have your belief and you know exactly what you want, you have to have understanding what you want, what's your priorities, and what side you're staying on, and then that's what makes you indestructible, I think, and give you this protection. Just knowing that I'm here to do good things, to protect people, to help others, and I'm not gonna go on the other side. And then that's that's all that matters.
And I feel like with what you're saying about him being full of anger and attracting that, I remember, and I've been slowly allowing myself to creak open the doors over this past maybe couple years or few years. And I was watching on Gaia. Are you familiar with Gaia?
No.
It's like a Netflix for spiritual shows. Dr. Joe Dispenza has his own like series on there. There's all kinds of really cool, like out there spiritual things that they have. And I was watching this show and it was talking about channeling, and it had on all of these different channelers that were speaking of how they open up to channeling, and channeling as in like channeling other spirits, right? To whoever may not know that term yet. Channeling other spirits, higher dimensional spirits, channeling messages from spirits with an expanded consciousness who can help give us messages to really help us heal the planet. They can help us in so many different ways. But of course, as we're talking about this, there's so many different kinds of spirits and entities, and they all vibrate at different frequencies. And the channeler that was speaking was saying, if you are going to open up this portal, basically. As you become a channel, you're like a portal. As you begin to open up this channel to other spirits, you want to make sure your channel is clear because you are going to channel what you are equal to. And if you have not done any inner healing work on yourself, if you have not cleared out the gunk of your past, of any resentments, of just hardships that you may have gone through that you're still like holding on to, and any of that, you are going to be a vibrational match to spirits that are equal to that same low vibration of whatever it is, of shame, of resentment, of anger. And she really emphasized clearing out your channel, and that resonated so much. And it makes sense to when I started to do the inner healing work, I was clearing out so much gunk in my system when I started to hear my intuition very loud and clear. And so I wanted to put emphasis on that. Like, if you, because you were saying opening up to your psychic gifts is really a gift and a responsibility. And with that responsibility, you want to make sure that you're doing the work on yourself to be a clear channel for whatever is coming through.
Absolutely.
And how do you, with people who may already be naturally inclined to their psychic abilities, or to people who may be wanting to practice this muscle of being more inclined to these things, being able to connect to spirits or having their claircognizant or clairaudient or all of the different clairs, what do you feel like is the best way to spiritually protect yourself?
For me personally, it's always a prayer. So anytime I feel in danger or worried or scared or in unknown situation, I pray, and I even ask my spirit of my grandmother to come and protect me. And that's really the only thing that makes me feel really good and safe and protected.
Mm, yeah, I feel like for me is also prayer is a really big thing. I feel like people may underestimate the prayer. Do not underestimate the power of prayer. I feel like prayer is very powerful when you're coming from a very wholehearted place, and also not from a place of like pleading, of like there, I feel like there's two different places that you could come out with prayer. One is like a victim mindset of like, please help me, I can't help myself, which that's still okay. If you're in that space and you pray like that, that's still better than not praying at all. But then there's like the empowered prayer of like, I'm praying and I'm protected. Like, thank you, Lord, for protecting me. Thank you, angels, for standing by my side. Thank you, guides, whatever it is that you believe in, light, source, whatever, for, beaming protection around me at all sides. And it's so much more powerful to come at prayer from that empowered state versus the please help me, I can't help myself. It's just like two completely different energies when you are saying your prayers and having that a part of your ritual to really protect yourself and feel that protection.
It's about belief, right? Believe in your head. It's so powerful with prayer and with anything in the world. Like anything you do, you have to believe in it. You need to believe that you can do it. You need to believe that nothing is impossible. And then we can do anything. Like as a humans, we can do so many things. The only thing that's stopping us is the restriction in our head, fear that we can't do it. Same with prayer. If you believe that prayer will protect you and it's with you to save you, it will be there to protect you and save you. If you believe that you can go and win that competition, you can do it. If you put your mind in it, your belief. I think one of the worst things that you can do is to feel like a victim, feel like, oh, I need protection, I need help, I can't do anything. It's hard to live in that position. It's constantly being in pain, being afraid, and the thing I would suggest for anyone is to get help, to get out from that position, being a victim. And I think so many of us going through this experience because because of experiences we had in our childhood, having physical abuse, mental abuse, just parents who may criticize you through the childhood that nothing is good enough, you can be better, look at your classmate who is doing this well, you can do it as well, or you can't bring home a C, you have to have only A plus, and it puts so much pressure on the child, and we don't even realize how those human beings are growing into not confident, damaged, depressed people as adults in life. So I think the first thing we all can do is just realize that this has happened to us, that this is experiences we had in our childhood that affected us, and I just don't want to be a victim anymore. I don't want to be depressed. I don't want to be scared. I want to change. And I tell you that you can change yourself at any age, as long as you want it, as we just talked about, like wanting and believing that you can do it, you can do it. And I think first step would be just ask for help, spiritual help, or even go into psychologist and talking to someone and get guidance how to get out
Mm-hmm.
and help yourself. And once you start treating yourself and your traumas and try not to figure out who you really are, and that's so important. I realize, because I'm working with psychologists now really closely on my childhood traumas and just life generally. And I'm 30 plus. I'm not gonna say how old I am, but
It is
yeah,
that a
so
number?
yeah, it's just a number. And it's so strange to realize that being this age, and only now I realized that I don't really know who Nadia really is,
Mm-hmm.
because I am what my parents wanted me to be. I am what my teachers told me I was. So my understanding of myself, of my wants, my needs, is based on what people told me who I am, and what I want to do, what I don't want to do. Just an example. So I wanted to go to university and study. I wanted to be a manager of like travel industry. So I always wanted to travel the world. I felt like exploring. So I found the place I wanted to go. My classmate wanted to go with me, and everything was just like a dream. But then my mom, I love my mom very much, and I know she'd done it from the best ever intentions. She said, I'm paying for your education, so you're gonna get into economics, because this is the field where you can get like good pay, good jobs, and then once you earn enough money, you can get second education and do whatever you want. So it just shows you how we always know who we are. We have this intuition. We feel ourselves, what we want to do in life, like what career to pursue, what path to take. But unfortunately, sometimes along the way, we have this distractions, barriers that are stopping us from fulfilling it. And I think when it happens very often, like all the time, it happens like every other day and on the way, you can just forget your true intentions and stop hearing yourself, because every time you want to do something, it's being criticized and said, oh, that's a not good thought, it's a not good way, it's not going to give you, like, bring you money, you're not going to earn, or you're not going to succeed if you do this or that. And we kind of put ourselves, our inner voice into that room. We lock ourselves saying, oh, you're not saying right things, you're wanting wrong things, so we need to listen to others. And then we grow up, and look how many people are depressed right now. They don't know what
Seriously.
they want. They don't understand who they are, what's their purpose, because they've been told all their lives who they are, what they need to be. And when you grow up and you finally don't have to listen to anyone and you can listen to yourself, you don't hear yourself anymore. So I think that's one of the reasons why I got into statistical psychoanalysis, which is a long story and a deep subject. Maybe we can talk about another time. But that's helping me to see inside of the person's matrix and what their gifts are and the way, the path, how they can fulfill their destiny and find their purpose again. And you can do it in any age, any time of the life, as long as you decide for yourself, I want to be myself and not what others want me to be.
Mm-hmm. And something that really stuck with me, what you said when we were together back in Bali months ago, was we were talking about how psychic abilities, how I was feeling hesitant, and there's been this long period of time where I've been very hesitant to open myself up more psychically to my gifts because of this fear. And I remember stating that to you and talking about how it made me nervous and how I was going back and forth on it. But I would like to put more intention and energy into it because I feel very called. And you had said something to me along the lines of, if you were fully embracing your abilities right now, with me being able to see, you said you might be able to see my grandmother and be able to give me a message from my grandmother that would, be everything to me. And that would, change my life. And it brought me the realization that me not stepping into these parts of myself and being my true authentic self out of fear, and fear is false evidence appearing real, I was holding back my ability to have a greater positive impact on the people around me, on the world itself. I always say like one person can change the world because of the massive ripple effects that we have. And so, what would you say to someone who has been in a similar spot to me of they know they could open themselves deeper, they feel nervous. What would you say to that person?
Um, I know this feeling, and maybe it's good to get the support, like emotional support and spiritual support from somebody more experienced and someone how to someone who knows how to deal with it, who is who's been channeling for a long time, or someone who feels very strong and doesn't have any fears. I think it's always nice to have an example to see for yourself what it can be like. I know it's really scary to be there on your own, having all these powers and gift and ability, and when you just don't know what to do with it, it's natural, it comes naturally, but it's just so much information out there that scares you and you're afraid and you don't know what to do with it. So I think it's very good to have like a role model
Mhm.
role model to show you that it's okay, it's fine. And I think even if that role model is not powerful or experienced, someone on your level, just having like-minded people next to you, like to feel the support that you're not alone, that it's okay to be afraid and it's okay to like not know what you're doing, but continue walking towards the light. That's
Mhm.
important. And I think it's important to start from within, like work within yourself. So if you have a fear, that fear comes from somewhere. So we need to find the root. Where does it come from? It doesn't.
Mhm.
When you're born as a child, you don't know many things, and you're kind of fearless. Look at the kids running around, jumping from the trees. They're not afraid of anything because they don't know what pain or broken leg is. So same here, just try to find the root of your fear. When did it start? What caused it? Maybe it was a dramatic experience in your life, or someone told you a scary story, or maybe you watched a movie that scared you. And then you need to work on the root of your fear and try to get rid of it. Just try to work on it, accept it that it's okay, that happened, that scared you, and try to look on different perspective, different sides. of that situation that made you be afraid. And I think once you work with it, then you will understand that it's not that scary. So for me, it was a long way. That guy and experience with his angel terrified me and scared me for life, you know, seeing hell. Like, I don't want to have anything to do with it. I don't want to be burning in hell and with all those souls I saw. So that scared me. And then having experiences, things coming from other side and trying to drag me off my bed to their world, it was scary as well. And I think that's what caused me to be afraid to close up my psychic abilities and just to stay away from it for a while. And I had period of time that I tried just to go into psychology and you know, stay away from spiritual world. But once it's within you, you hear it calling. But the thing is, what I've been doing, I start working with myself, and more I worked and looked into the cause of this fear, I understood that, look, those things were attached to the guy because he had low energy vibration, because he had lots of anger inside of him. So if I work on myself, if I don't have anger, and of course we're human, we're always, you know, we have different feelings and we have to accept all of them. We can't be just made of butterflies and clouds. We sometimes sad, we're sometimes angry, and it's okay. But if it's not 90% of your lifetime, then you need to do something about it. So if you think about like yourself and in the situations, like try to make sure that you clear your mind, clear your soul, clear your heart, and that you're open to receive and give it through you, and see yourself as a not a filter, but the vessel that receives light energy. And then if light energy comes into something dark and cloudy, it's less likely to come out light. So we have to start from ourselves. Meditation, yoga. I can't recommend more silent retreat, what I've been doing. And I think that was a huge step in my life, and to actually hear myself. And it's you know, it's just a couple of days without phone, without talking to anyone. But oh my gosh, we live in 21st century. We attach to phones, to computers, to people, to other opinions, and being inside of yourself, it's so uncomfortable. And how many of us have a chance, even for 10 minutes, to get inside of you and ask yourself, what do you want right now? I went through so many different stages within those 6 days, and it was like breaking me inside and causing me pain, because my brain and my soul, my spirit, they were fighting. Like my brain would tell me, one day you have to go and see rice fields, you have to do this, you paid so much money for it, and my soul, me, Nadia, inside of me was saying, I'm tired, I just want to sleep, I want to relax, that's what I need. And my brain was like, no, you have to go, you're wasting time, you're leaving in a few days, you won't be able to see it. And then I thought, ah, that's the thing, self-love. That's very important. And I thought, like, I need to practice self-love. I want to sleep and I'm gonna sleep. So I switched off for a couple of hours, and then I woke up really happy and refreshed. And it doesn't matter if you're not gonna see those rice fields or go to a jungle or do something else that in there. You have to listen to yourself. What do you want to do? And I wanted to sleep. That's all. That's all. And it's not putting labels like, oh, I'm being lazy, or I'm just like, you know, wasting time. No, you want to sleep. Who told you you're being lazy? Someone in the past, and now you think like every time you don't do something active, you're not moving, that you're being lazy now. And seeing inside of you what you want, it's the hardest thing. Honestly, it's the hardest thing. It's easy to see what people around you want, what they want to do and fulfill and help them and direct them and be there for them. But like, who's going to be there for you? You need to start from you, like loving yourself, taking care of yourself. I read so much in the silent retreat, and you know, I said it before many times to lots of people, but when I read it myself, that was like, that's what it meant. It said we're very often like unhappy with our parents, how they treated us, how they parented us. We didn't get enough love from mom or from dad, or some people didn't have parents. Uh, but then we grow up now, we're adults. And do you treat yourself as a parent like you would like to be treated? You, as your own parent, like taking care of yourself the way you want or no? Because we always expect other people to do things for us, to treat us the way we want to be treated, to love us the way we want to be loved. But you, as a person, do you love yourself enough? Do you take care of yourself? Do you let yourself rest, and actually hear what you want to do? That's
Mhm.
very important. So I think we'll need to start from within, from us. Hear yourself first. And then once you know who you are, once you know what you want, I don't think there will be anything to stop you or distract you or tell you other way, because you are like complete. You know what you want to do. You know how you feel. You know what it's all about for you. And that's it. That's the most important thing. Just finding yourself. Yeah.
Listening to yourself, getting out of your head, getting into your heart, like moving that energy down. And I talk about this all the time on my YouTube, but so many of us, especially in the 21st century, being on the technology, we expend so much of our energy in our logical thinking space, and all of our energy is so much in our heads. We overthink, we overanalyze, we're filled with anxiety because our brains are just firing all the time. And it's so imbalanced because there's meant to be a ton of energy in our heart. It's meant to be balanced from the head to the heart, that equal of the logical and then living in your heart and experiencing and feeling and listening to that soul intuition. And there is so much noise where that silent retreat gave you that space to allow you to tune in and listen to your intuition and listen to yourself. Like, who is Nadiya? Like, who am I? And it gave you that space to find yourself. And I feel like more of us need to do that in our day-to-day lives of just, when are you just filling your time with another podcast? No offense to myself, please listen to my podcast. They're great. But when are you filling your time just with another podcast, listening to another piece of content, listening to more music, just even in the car, like when can you offer yourself more times and spaces of silence to really tune in, block out the noise, and just tune into yourself? Just to clear your mind for a sec, or just to really ask yourself, like, what are my intentions today? What do I really want today? I feel like that's so important. And I want to loop back to what you were mentioning about going back to the root of what is causing this fear that may be coming up. And I know for me, I mentioned before, for me, my root cause of my fear with paranormal things and bad things happening to me were from movies. They were from shows. Uh, we used to watch sci-fi movies all the time growing up, like science fiction, and we watched a ton of horror films. I thought I was the cool kid, like, oh, I can watch all these scary movies, and it fucked my like psyche up so much. And when I was having, I didn't go into detail when I explained my experience, but when I was having my what I thought was a possession at the time, but it was really my mind and body purging everything that I was holding on to that was blocking a clear connection. It was clearing my channel. I was getting these flash visuals of the clock turning backwards. I felt like my eyes were going to pop out of my head. I was seeing myself in like these backwards, contorted positions, moving in these crazy ways. And I was getting all of these visuals, and it was purging. My brain was deep from my subconscious. It was coming to the surface to get out because that was my root. because I watched movies where girls were getting possessed and were doing those creepy things. Because I watched movies where the clock would start turning backwards and the cross would turn upside down. And that's exactly what was going through in my consciousness at that time where I was just purging all of that out, which was completely terrifying because all of the fear just came to the surface and it was like 100 out of 10. Like it was just immense, immense, immense. Can't even put into words the level of fear that I experienced at that moment. But it's just so insane to experience that and to also note for yourself what is your root cause of your fear. Because again, fear is false evidence appearing real. It's not even like, it's not even real. But what is that root? And I want to mention our experience in Bali when we were at the cafe. And I had mentioned to you about how I really wanted to be able to see darker spirits. Because also, when you have the ability to see, I feel like you kind of just know if it's like a darker spirit or a more neutral one or a lighter one. You could say, okay, maybe sometimes they might disguise yourself. A lot of times you can just automatically get the feel. But I wanted to be able to see darker spirits and just feel neutral. And I feel like that's the goal for anyone who's getting into opening their psychic abilities, especially if you're someone who can see and you're opening your third eye and you are able to see those different spirits, because that's another ball game of being able to manage and regulate yourself in those moments and to really have that discernment within yourself of, okay, who am I getting? This really goes for all psychic things. If you're channeling at all, having that discernment, is this truth? Is this light? Is this good? Or is this not? Am I opening myself up to, or am I witnessing something, or am I feeling into something that is doesn't quite feel right? So having that discernment is so important. But I had mentioned that to you, how I wanted to have that neutrality coming into it. And you and I hope I'm telling the story right. Please catch me if you want to chime in. But you had mentioned that you want to give me some of
Oh,
the energy. Go ahead.
I wanted, like, I had this urge to hold your hands and pass you the message and energy to show you that how to be neutral. And I just had this feeling inside of me. And I think that's the power of knowing. I just knew I had to do it because something was going through me to you as a message, because at that moment you needed it so much. And even that was message for you, and that energy was for you to show you that you don't need to be afraid. You can be neutral and you can be so much, so powerful, just be in the middle, as we had the same vision. You can be in the middle and nothing can touch you. You decide what you do with your powers and with everything around you. And I think it's taught me and gave me peace of mind I needed as well. So through like channeling this energy and message and giving it to you, I learned from it so much. I still have this feeling inside of me of being neutral and being so powerful. But yeah, if you wanna say your side of the story as well, because no, that was really powerful, I think.
It was. It was all in the middle of Clear Cafe. We were like across the table holding hands. And we were both like having the same vision and didn't even know it until we spoke later. But from my point of view, I was seeing myself surrounded by all of these dark spirits. And I just felt like this light orb. I think we like saw it in a little slightly different ways, but I saw this white orb around me and being able to see all of these beings that were, you could say, evil or negative in some way. And I just felt such like power and peace of being like, you can't touch me. Like, you can't fucking touch me. And just feeling so powerful in that. And I feel like that energy was like, there's no words for it.
Yeah.
And I
I
feel,
I saw you from the side. Yeah, I saw you being in the middle of that dark energy and evil. and you were just a light, like a big ball of light. And when I don't know if you saw it or felt it, but whenever this dark evil energy tried to touch you or get to you, it was just like jumping back because you had this shield, this power. And then I saw you just going up above it, just rising in the air. And it was beautiful. And hearing that you had the same vision and you had the same feeling, that's priceless. And I hope it helped to gain this power and back and get rid of the fear and knowing that you are indestructible. You decide what to do with it. They can't touch you. It's the power inside of you is so strong.
Agreed. And again, with what you said about belief, it's like you've really got to strengthen and harness into that belief that you are powerful and that you are protected and that you are light. And an affirmation that I said when I thought I was getting possessed and I came out of it and I was in 100% freak out mode. What the fuck is going on? I kept saying to myself, I am love. I am love. I am love. And it's like having that knowing and belief of you are love. What's a vibrational match to that? Love, light, great and positive things. And so having that belief and having that certainty and that groundedness and that vessel of this is who I am, right? And doing that inner work, clearing out your channel, those are really great ways to really make sure that you are a vibrational match to positive beings that want to do good things and channel positive messages and genuinely really help you out, and also be spiritually protected from anything that may be attracted to your bright aura and your powerful energy, to be able to feel that spiritual protection from any outside things that may be coming in as well. So, one question that I ask everyone who comes onto the podcast is, if you were to share one sentence of how you believe that we as the human race could come together and make the world a better place, what would it be?
Oh, wow, one sentence. That's quite short. Can I say a few words before my sentence?
Go ahead.
I believe that Newton's third law of motion, that every action has an equal and opposite reaction, applies not only to physics, but to us as human as well. So whatever we put out there is gonna get back. And look what we're doing with nature. We cutting the trees, we destroying it, building buildings, and what's nature giving us back? Global warming, water levels are rising, lots of fires everywhere, more and more, like every year, hurricanes. Look at the people, how we treat each other, greed, jealousy. Everyone just thinks about themselves. What do we see around? Wars everywhere, distractions. So I guess my sentence would be treat everyone and everything the way you would like to be treated, because at the end, it will always get back to you.
Mm.
So send love and kindness out there, and then our world will be a better place.
I was just thinking those exact words this morning. Those exact words. And I almost posted it on my Instagram story, and then I ended up not having the time. But I was thinking those exact words this morning. That's beautiful.
We're
And
really connected.
we really are. We really are. Is there, and I would love to have you on for another episode for you to talk about your expertise and what you're, that's a whole nother
Yeah.
thing that we could get into. I'd love to have you on for another episode with that. But if people would want to find you and get to know you, be a little bit more in your world, is there anywhere that they can find you at? Any socials?
Yeah, you can contact me on my Instagram. I think you can put it in the link down
Hmm.
under the podcast. Instagram, I think, will be the best way.
Love it. Perfect. Well, if you want to get to know Nadiya a little more, feel free to find her. I'll link everything below. It was such a pleasure to have you on. This was an amazing conversation, and I can't wait for our next one.
Thank you for having me. I had a really good time, and I hope it helps
Yeah.
someone out there.
Thank you again for tuning in. If you enjoyed this, please give it a 5-star review, sharing what you love most about this podcast, and I will see you in the next episode of Shattering Reality.